New York Jets as they begin the new tenure of Aaron Glenn. Obviously, one of those helping to reshape the wide receiver market in Garrett Wilson. And there's another wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, who would love to see a deal get done with his team, the Washington Commanders. Now, he is right now holding out. He said earlier today in an appearance at a car dealership that he doesn't see himself playing on his current contract, but he also said that he does want to stay there and get a deal done with the Commanders. Take a listen.
You know, I've wanted to continue my career here. I've created my life here. You know, my wife and I have bought our first home here, so this has been somewhere where I've always wanted to be. And, you know, just to see how things have played out has been disappointing. Obviously, I understand everything's a business, but at the same time, like, you know, I want to put myself in a position where, you know, I'm valued and, you know, I feel appreciated and things like that. And, you know, unfortunately, that hasn't transpired the way I wanted to.
And you might think that because of what happened yesterday with Garrett Wilson, maybe that's one of the dominoes that then topples over to D.C. and affects Terry McLaurin and how the Commanders go about trying to make this right with him. But, J.J., why is that not necessarily the case?
Well, because Garrett Wilson is 5 years younger than Terry McLaurin. Because Terry McLaurin is 30, he's going on 31 years old because he's already gotten his second deal with the Commanders. He signed that deal a few years ago. And so that's where we see right there at the bottom of this graphic, Terry McLaurin, $22.8 million. This is the last year of that contract extension. Look, I'm not saying that at 30 years old, Terry McLaurin is decrepit. I'm certainly not saying that whatsoever. But the NFL, whether it is a Mike Evans or a Cooper Kupp, they've had issues over the last couple of years really figuring out what that player's value is, because we know that speed starts to go as you get older, as you get over that 30-year threshold. Well, that's what we're seeing with Terry McLaurin. Yes, has he been the number one receiver for this team? Absolutely. Was he amazing for Jaden Daniels and this run that the Washington Commanders just came off of, and hopefully that they will continue on in Washington? Of course. Could this guy run for public office, and would I vote for him? Well, Chris, I don't get into politics on the show, but maybe, all right? But what they also have to understand is that the market, while it has gone up a great deal for a number of number one wide receivers, and we can put that graphic back up, and I will show you exactly where Terry McLaurin is probably going to slot in if both sides can ultimately agree to a deal, and that would be after the last number one receiver and before the top number two receiver. So T. Higgins averaging around $29 million in average annual value. Jalen Waddle right around there as well. That's probably the sweet spot for Terry McLaurin. Not a long-term deal in terms of 4 or 5 years. You're not signing up for that if you're the Commanders. But 2 or 3, you figure out the guarantees, you get the average annual value close to 30. That's probably the sweet spot. In terms, lastly, Chris, of holding out, because he is a veteran and because of the way that the collective bargaining agreement is, he can't really hold out because it's going to run him about $50,000 per day. That starts to add up really quickly. All the money that you think you're going to make in that next contract, well, you ultimately have to pay it back for all the time that you missed in July and August. So we'll see where things go. Doesn't seem like it's happening anytime soon to hear Terry McLaurin say it, but I do think that ultimately the two sides will work something out because both sides want and need each other.
And if he does slot in where you think he might there by T. Higgins, that would make him 9th, 10th highest paid AAV. He wants to be top 5 at this point, but that just might not be in the cards for Terry McLaurin. And time is running out to get to training. More breaking.
The NFL coming down this afternoon out of Washington. Wide receiver Terry McLaurin, who sat out of mandatory minicamp as he looks for a new contract. Well, he had this to say to the media today.
I've been pretty frustrated, I'm not going to lie. You know, everything that has transpired up until this point has just been disappointing and frustrating. You know, I've wanted to continue my career here. I've created my life here. You know, my wife and I have bought our first home here. So this has been somewhere where I've always wanted to be. I haven't decided that yet. I'm trying to take things day by day. And, you know, I think that's the disappointing part, where I was hoping up until this point things would clear up a lot more than they have.
We are absolutely loaded today with special guests. This is our Commanders reporter, John Keim. All the NFL Nation reporters are here for meetings this week. It's been wonderful, and they're here to help us out with NFL Live today. So, John, when you hear that from Terry McLaurin, what do you make of it?
So there were a couple things that stood out to me, Graz. One, he spoke for about 30 minutes. That's a long time, and most of it was about the frustration over the pace of negotiations. No talks for about the past month. So that's one thing. He reiterated that he wants to be here. It's where he has a lot of value. They value him. But the other two big things, Graz, that he addressed, the age issue. He's going to turn 30 in September. It's an age where receivers start to slow down. But he's only been in the league 7 years. He doesn't have the same wear and tear that maybe some other receivers at that age do. Then the other part is he talked a little bit, or certainly enough, about what he went through in the past year. I think anybody who's an NFL fan knows what this franchise was like prior to Josh Harris arriving. Terry McLaurin was the face of the franchise then, a team leader, respect in the locker room. But if you're the new group, I think you're probably looking more at, okay, that's great, but what's the value going forward?
Yeah. Booger?
Well, the value going forward is going to be that you have a young quarterback who you're looking to make a nice jump from year 1 to year 2 in Jaden Daniels, and you want to create stability. You've already come in and brought Laramie Tunsil on the offensive line. So you're trying to surround this young quarterback with protection and playmakers, and there's no better playmaker on your team than Terry McLaurin. Now, is he Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase when it comes to the $40 and $35 million a year? That's for the GM to decide. But I know this. Terry McLaurin is a top 10 receiver in the National Football League. And if you look at what they're making, they're all making above $30 million. So wherever the deal comes in, whether it's 30, 32, 34, figure it out. Continue the continuity that you have in Washington, because right now the Commanders are everybody's darling pick. They got a lot of momentum. They got a lot of positive national momentum. And the last thing you want to do is create a negative controversy on the side as you go into training camp. I think Washington and Adam Peters, they've done everything right so far. Continue this, get this deal done, whether it comes in at 32, 34, 35, whatever the number is, Tim. I think you got to pay him, because his production, not only on your team, but in the league, says so.
Yeah, and Boog, how about this? He's also one of your good guys. You know, like this reminds me of the Trey Hendrickson situation in Cincinnati, and the fact that, like, look, he's been a team guy. He's been a leader. He's been great in the community. When things were not good, like, he's kind of risen above, you know, kind of the disaster that's been there, as alluded to in terms of what was going on in Washington in the early part of his career. So here you go. You got basically a star wide receiver, a true number one. Like, yes, he's around 30 years old, but like also the reality is he's been an incredible leader, and he doesn't come with some of the baggage that other elite wide receivers come with. I think that's some of the frustration. Like, to me, when I hear Terry McLaurin talk, it reminds me a little bit of hearing Trey talk, where we'd be like, wait a minute, I've done everything right. Like, why is this not moving faster? That's what it feels like to me.
We'll see if it gets moving as we get closer to training camp. John Keim will be all over this story for you. More news breaking on this Tuesday. The Jets giving out money this week.
All right, Cowboys Nation, buckle up, because we might be on the verge of something huge in Big D. Imagine this: CeeDee Lamb and Terry McLaurin lining up on opposite ends of the field. 2 Pro Bowl caliber receivers, 1 team, 1 goal, bringing the Lombardi back to Dallas. And guess what? According to multiple reports, including Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports, the Dallas Cowboys are emerging as a top potential landing spot for none other than Terry McLaurin, the disgruntled star wide receiver from Washington. This isn't just off-season noise. There's real smoke. And where there's smoke, y'all know Jerry might just be lighting the fire. Let's break down everything going on with McLaurin, why he might actually end up in Dallas, and what it would mean for our offense, Dak Prescott, and the entire NFC East. First off, let's talk facts. Terry McLaurin is not happy in Washington right now. Despite saying he wants to stay, he's openly frustrated with the lack of progress in contract talks. He skipped mandatory minicamp last month, and now he's making it clear if the Commanders don't get serious, he's prepared to keep holding out. Now here's the kicker. McLaurin's deal runs through 2025, but he's only making $23.2 million per year, which puts him outside the top 15 highest paid receivers in the NFL. Let me say that again. A guy who's posted 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons playing with a revolving door of quarterbacks isn't even top 15 in pay. That's just disrespectful. Now let's bring it back to our house. The Dallas Cowboys. We all know the pressure's on in 2025. Jerry Jones said it himself. He's going all in. We've got CeeDee Lamb. We've got Brandon Cooks. But let's be honest, y'all. We still need that true second WR1 type threat to take this offense over the top. Terry McLaurin is that guy. He's 28 in his prime, a route running technician with elite speed, durable, missed just 3 games in 5 seasons, career average of 13.5 yards per catch, and over 1,000 yards in each of the last 4 seasons despite catching passes from guys like Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, and Sam Howell. Now imagine what he could do catching dimes from Dak Prescott, with CeeDee drawing double coverage on the other side. That's a nightmare for defensive coordinators. That's a win-now move. And that's the type of firepower we need if we're going to finally break through that divisional round curse. Now here's the $1 million, or should I say multi-million-dollar question. What would it take to get McLaurin? Let's be real. It won't be cheap, but considering Washington just brought in Deebo Samuel and might want to shake up their WR room to fit Jaden Daniels' style, McLaurin could be on the block for the right price. Would Jerry and Stephen Jones cough up a 2nd and a 5th? Or maybe even flip a player like Michael Gallup and a mid-rounder to get it done? If I'm the Cowboys, and I'm serious about winning now, I pull that trigger yesterday. We've got cap flexibility coming, and we've seen time and time again elite WR duos win in this league. And don't even get me started on scheme fit, because McLaurin would be perfect in Mike McCarthy's West Coast hybrid. He's tough over the middle, he can beat man, he's a precise route runner, and he's a leader in the locker room. Dak has been asking for more playmakers. We know he plays better when he trusts his targets. Adding McLaurin could be that missing puzzle piece that makes our passing game unstoppable. Just picture it. CeeDee in the slot, McLaurin outside, Cook stretching the field deep, Ferguson underneath, and Dak with options for days. But hey, I want to hear from y'all, Cowboys Nation. Would you trade for Terry McLaurin? What would you give up to bring him to Dallas? And do you think a WR room of Lamb, McLaurin, and Cooks is the best in the NFC? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's light it up down there. And if you're hyped about the possibility of Terry McLaurin in the star, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you love the boys like I do, and don't forget to share this video with every Cowboys fan you know. This is Victor with Dallas Cowboys Today, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Let's bring that energy back to Dallas.